Hi there. It's December 30th and time for Proverbs 30. Now, this is my favorite chapter in Proverbs. It kind of wraps everything up into a neat package about wisdom and what is wisdom and the wisdom we've been seeking for so long, and how to realize what you have achieved, right? These are the words of Agar, son of Jacob, an oracle this man declared to Ithiel and to Ukal. Okay? We're not sure who Agar was, but a very smart man. The key to wisdom is right here. Surely I am more stupid than any man, and do not have a man's understanding. I have not learned wisdom. And he goes on, nor have I knowledge of the Holy One. Who has gone up to heaven and come down? Who has gathered the wind in the palm of his hand? Who has wrapped the waters in a cloak? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? And what is the name of his son? If you know. Even back in 1,000 years before Christ, they knew about Christ. Okay? He's all over the Old Testament. The key to wisdom is realizing that you will never be wise. Okay? You can only seek wisdom and diligently seek it all your life and become wiser than you were before, but never completely wise. Only God is fully wise. Okay? When you realize that every single person on earth knows something that you don't know, every person, no matter how great or small, knows something that you don't know. Right? You can't be all wise. That's the secret, the key. Right? Amazing. And this, what is the name of his son? We know the name now, don't we? Yeshua. Okay, chapter 5. After that key. Every word of God is purified. He is a shield to those who take refuge in him. Do not add to his words, or else he, God himself, will rebuke you and prove you a liar. A lot of people do. It talks about, Jesus talks about false prophets, and all these people talk about false prophets, people coming by and say, I heard this thing from God. They need to be tested, okay? One thing about a prophet, if a prophet says something, a prophet will never, ever, ever be wrong, okay? If a prophet is wrong one time, he is a false prophet. Because if God's talking to somebody, he will never lie, he will never cheat, he will never steal, he will never be wrong, okay? There are a lot of false prophets out, okay? And anybody can say 100 things and be right, and be right even 97 times out of 100. That doesn't make him a prophet, okay? A true prophet will be right 100% of the time. Okay? So, do not add to his words, or he will rebuke you and prove you a liar. And that happens a lot, okay? Like, there is no such thing as a prosperity gospel, okay? Those are adding to his words. All right. Verse 7. 2 things I ask of you. Now, this is Agar's prayer right here, okay? And it's not mentioned enough, okay? There's lots of prayers that, Lord, give me this and give me that, and I need this and I need that. All right? Try this prayer, okay? This is Agar speaking to God, you, capital Y. 2 things I ask of you, Lord. Do not refuse me before I die. Keep falsehood and lies far from me. All right? Keep the liars and these false prophets, keep them away. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but feed me with my allotted bread. Okay? Well, that's important. Neither poverty nor riches. Look at the notes over here. You make it this request to God. Right? Give me neither poverty nor riches. Okay? You don't want to be too much. You don't want to have too little. Just enough is the key. Lest I become satisfied and deny you and say, who is Adonai? or lest I become poor and steal and profane the name of my God. Okay, that's our prayer. We can all pray right there. Okay, keep falsehood and lies far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches, and feed me with my allotted bread, my daily bread. Right? Give us this day our daily bread, lest I become satisfied or rich. Right? And deny the Lord. Right? You get too much money, you think you don't need him anymore. Or lest I become poor and steal and profane the name of my God. That's the prayer of Agur. A filthy, haughty generation. Do not slander a servant to his master, or he will curse you, and you pay for it. There's a generation that curses his father and does not bless his mother. These are the bad people. There's a generation that is pure in its own eyes, and yet has not cleansed from its filth. There's a generation whose eyes are so haughty, whose eyelids are lifted up disdainfully. Lots of that going on, right? There is a generation whose teeth are swords and whose molars are knives, to devour the poor from the earth and the needy from among humanity. And this whole thing. Whole thing. Is this generation now? I think they've had these generations. Right? It's getting worse and worse, and this pretty much describes the generation of today. Go over that again. 15. The leech has 2 daughters. Give, and give. Now this right here, I had to actually look what it meant, okay? 2 daughters, and it may say over here. And I learned it from the Geneva translation in the notes they provided, okay? The leech hath 2 forks on her tongue, which here he calleth her 2 daughters, whereby she sucketh the blood and is never satisfied. Even so are the covetous extortioners insatiable. I got that? The leech has a forked tongue, and each of the forks are never satisfied. They're always looking for blood. Okay? 2 daughters. Look. 3 things are never satisfied. 4 never say enough. Okay? 4 things, he does this 2 or 3 times in here. 4 things that are never satisfied, that never say enough. Sheol, hell, is never satisfied. Always room for one more. A barren womb has never been satisfied with a child. Land that is not satisfied with water. Desert. You always have to keep watering and keep watering your plants. If you don't, they will die, right? You can't water them once and say to the land, that's enough water for you. If you don't water them again and again, it is never satisfied, right? And fire that never says enough. Again, fire is never satisfied. It never says enough. As soon as you stop feeding it, it will die. 4 things. 17. The eye that mocks a father and scorns obeying a mother will be pecked out by ravens of the valley and eaten by young vultures. It was one of the 10 commandments, right? And the only one with a caveat or a promise that said to honor your father and mother so that your life may be long, right? And back then, we need to get back to this. They had no use for people who disrespected their parents, right? And that goes on a lot. There's a no. 3, no 4. 3 things are too amazing for me. 4, I do not understand. Right? The way of an eagle in the sky. Right? Beautiful to watch, right? You understand how they stay up there? I mean, some people do, but the way of a serpent on a rock. How do they? Yeah, they move. It's amazing to think about. The way of a ship in the heart of the sea. If you know nothing about sailing, okay, it would be a mystery. It's a mystery to me. I know nothing about sailing, right? And I love this one. And the way of a man with a maiden. I always thought that was very funny, okay? you see a bunch of tough guys out having a party and having a good time and punching each other on the shoulder and being all manly. And then a pretty girl walks in, right? And they all turn into bumbling idiots, okay? Why is that? They all turn into bumbling idiots, tripping over themselves. It's funny, okay? And it's hard to understand, right? 20, such is the way of an adulteress. She eats, wipes her mouth, and says, I have done nothing wrong. Right. Now there's a note over here. She hath her desires, and after counterfeiteth as though she were an honest woman. Right. Pretends to be an honest woman. 21. Another four things. Under three things the earth trembles, under four it cannot bear up. Right? Under a slave and it becomes a king. Hey, I don't know. A fool when he is stuffed with food. Yeah, earth cannot bear up over that, right? An unloved woman when she is married. And a handmaiden when she displaces her mistress. Right? This happens too. We're not going to tear into that, okay? You can go through history and find out where that's happened. Right? The four things. Lessons from creatures. Yeah. It's another four things. He liked four, didn't he? Four things on earth are small, yet they're exceedingly wise. Ants are creatures with little strength, yet they store their food up in the summer. That's true. How many times have you gotten up in the morning, walked into your kitchen only to find out that the ants have been working diligently all night to take your food back to their nest? Happens. Conies, a coney is a small, like a rock badger, okay? Creatures with little power, yet they make their homes in the cliffs, and they live up in rock holes, and amazing to watch them, right? Who knows how they do that, right? Locusts have no king, yet they advance together in ranks. In ranks. Have you ever thought about that? All the locusts are together like an army, advancing together, but they have no leader, they have no king or queen, but they advance in ranks. Interesting to think about. A lizard you can catch with the hand, yet it is found in kings' palaces. Okay? A lizard. Some say lizard, some say spider. That's a small creature. Right. If man be not able to compass the common things by his wisdom, we cannot attribute wisdom to man, but folly. Interesting, huh? Right. Lizards, spiders. They get in, don't they? Okay, here's another. Three things are stately in their stride, four that move with stately bearing. Four. A lion, mighty among beasts, who never backs down from anything. Except maybe the elephant, right? A strutting rooster. They're pretty proud, right? Stately in their stride. A male goat. Yeah. Male goats are funny, right? They're not afraid of anything. And a king with his army around him, right? You see these kings, when everybody's following them, they're brave, As soon as they turn on them, then they know they're no longer brave. Four things. 3 times he said 4 things. Right? 32. If you act foolishly, exalting yourself, or if you have planned evil, put your hand over your mouth. For as turning milk produces butter, and twisting the nose produces blood, so stirring up anger produces strife. Right? And that's kind of... Right? If you're going around bragging and being conceited and planning evil things, you better stop. Right? You're going to get punched, okay? If you look for trouble, you're going to get punched. You're going to find it, right? So there you go. That's Proverbs 30, my favorite chapter in the Proverbs. Right? We'll go over the highlights. The key to wisdom, right here. The key to all of Proverbs. Surely I am more stupid than any man and do not have a man's understanding. I have not learned wisdom. And Agar was a very smart person. Right? She was considered an oracle. So, the key to, and it talks all over Proverbs about being humble. Humble, it drives that point home. Being humble, always be humble, humility, never be proud, never be conceited, never be haughty, don't look down on people. Being humble, part of being humble is realizing that you will never be wise, okay? You can be wiser, you can be learned, right? But you can never be completely wise because everybody on earth will always know something that you don't know. You can't know everything, only God can know everything, right? That's the secret. Right? And they say that at the end of Proverbs. Right? And he uses examples why he has not learned wisdom or has knowledge of God. Right? Who went up to heaven and came down? Who gathered the wind in the palm of his hand? Who has wrapped the waters in a cloak? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name and what is the name of his son? If you know, he knows, right? Revelations 19:12. All right. Key to wisdom. Wise advice in verse 6, do not add to his words or else he will rebuke you and prove you a liar. And we talked about this, right? Prophets like to get famous saying, God told me this. It's not in the Bible, but believe me, God told me this. That's adding to his words, okay? Anything a prophet tells you, you should be able to back up with scripture. Anything, okay? The entire plan for the entire world is in the Bible. In the Old Testament, and over again, it tells you the story, what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. Things are going to happen in this order, right? And the story never changes. It's consistent throughout the Bible, right? Don't add to his words, okay? We talked about before, a prophet will be right 100% of the time. He will never be wrong. And everything he says, you can back up with scripture. So think about that when somebody starts talking, right? And the prayer of Agar, okay? The prayer we should be praying, okay? Along with the Lord's Prayer. 2 things I ask of you, do not refuse me before I die. Keep falsehood and lies far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but feed me with my allotted bread. Just enough, right? Give me just enough. Lest I become satisfied and deny you and say, who is Adonai? Or lest I become poor and steal and profane the name of my God. Right? Just enough. The prayer of Agar. Right? And the generation, a filthy, haughty generation. I'm sure they had these before, and they have this again now. Just look in the streets. There's a generation that curses his father and his mother, does not, right? And does not bless his mother. There's a generation that's pure in its own eyes, and yet is not clean from its filth. There's a generation whose eyes are so haughty, whose eyelids are lifted up disdainfully, right? Looking down on people. There is a generation whose teeth are swords and molars are knives to devour the poor from the earth and the needy from among humanity. Right? Thinking you're better than somebody else. That's a sin, okay? And 15, I highlight it because since I found out what it meant, right? The leech has 2 daughters, give and give. The leech has a forked tongue, and each of the forks is always looking for blood, right? I have 4 things. 3 times he said 4. 4 times he said 4 things. Right? 4 things are never satisfied. Soul a barren womb. Land is not satisfied with water. And fire never says enough. Right? And 4 things he doesn't understand. Right? They're too amazing for him. The way an eagle flies. The way a serpent moves on a rock. The way a ship moves on the sea. And the way of a man around a young, pretty girls. Right? And four things makes the earth tremble and cannot bear up. A slave and he becomes a king. A fool when he's stuffed for food, and an unloved woman when she is married, and a handmaiden when she displaces her mistress. That has happened. Another thing, four things on earth are small yet exceedingly wise. Right? The ants, right? Conies or rock badgers. Locusts have no king. And a lizard or a spider, some say. You can catch them, but they're still everywhere. And four things that move stately, have a stately stride in their bearing. Right? A lion, right? Mighty among beasts, who never backs down from anything. A strutting rooster, right? A male goat, and a king with his army around him. Right? And good advice right here. 32 and 33. If you have acted foolishly, exalting yourself, right, bragging, or if you have planned evil, put your hand over your mouth. Shut up, right? For churning milk produces butter, twisting the nose produces blood, and stirring up anger produces strife, right? And acting foolishly and planning evil, exalting yourself for pride, right, produces strife. Somebody's going to punch you, okay? Somebody is going to put you in your place. So, there you go. That is Proverbs 30, my favorite proverb. So, there's just one proverb left, and that is the words that Bathsheba said to her son, King Solomon, advice, right? And then a very old acrostic poem, which follows the letters of the Hebrew alphabet about wives. So we'll read that tomorrow. Then we'll start over again in a new version on January 1st. Stay tuned later today. We are on day 365, the very last day of our Through the Bible in a Year. We have studied and read the Bible every single day of this year and never missed a day, never missed making a video. And today we're going to finish that in the final chapters of Revelation. Amazing. So stay tuned for that later. We will celebrate that, right? But until next time, give us a like if you think about it. And we'll see you later.